So, another angle about gratitude that I'd like to share today is conventionally, in normal language, everyday language, people do not infrequently express appreciation. I mean, it's maybe not as often as I'd like, but it does happen pretty often. And it sounds like this, hey, thanks a lot. Okay? And what often follows the thanks a lot is what I would consider an evaluation of the other person that we're speaking to. A positive evaluation. Okay? So it's a little bit more difficult to see the damaging impact of making positive judgments of other people as it is negative ones. And I want to underline damaging. I believe it's damaging to our human relationships to positively judge other people. Okay? Now, it's a little easier to see with negative judgment. I think you're an idiot, you're a jerk, you're so insensitive, how could you be so inappropriate? Okay, that has kind of a negative connotation that most people can see, okay, I don't really want to be in the line of that, thank you very much. But it's much more difficult to see the positive judgment as being life-alienating. It alienates us from the person we are with if we tell them what we think they are. Okay? Because in order to positively judge another person, we are in fact judging them. Positive or negative, it's still a judgment. If I tell you I think you're a very sensitive person, that's a judgment. And that might be because you just did something that I appreciate. But 5 minutes from now you might do something I don't appreciate, and now you're an insensitive person. You're inconsistent. You're incongruent. Okay? So, a little delay on this thing. There we go. So if we're playing the business of judging, it goes both ways. We cannot have it just one way. If we're playing the game of judgment, we judge positively and negatively. And that game is a losing game for human relationships, in my experience. Okay? In order to judge you positively or negatively, I need to establish myself as the authority who knows what you are. Okay? I know what you are. I think you're sensitive. Okay? By the mere act of doing that, I'm creating distance. I'm separating. I'm playing God. I'm saying I know what you are. And here I am to tell you what you are. Whether it's sensitive or insensitive, I'm still doing that game. So by the very nature of positive judgments, I'm separating. So that's one problem with the conventional way of appreciation. Now there's another problem, which I think is even more severe than that. And that is, especially with young people, okay, we use praise and compliments, positive reinforcement, to express our appreciation. Now, if that's more than damaging, I consider that destructive to the development of human beings. Because I believe if we set up our relationship with others in such a way that we use praise and compliments, we are building a system with that person where they are depending on external sources to know who they are and what they are. It's an extrinsic relationship which facilitates reward and punishment. Okay? So if we teach a young person, yes, you're a good boy, good boy, good boy. Okay, we reinforce, good boy. Okay? We're implying that what they did was right and good in our eyes, and we're inducing them to do the same thing. But you see, then their choices and their behavior has more relationship to my interpretation of them than it does from their own internal sense of what serves them and serves their life, meets needs. Okay, so the basic difference here is in compassionate communication, we encourage people to connect to their inner selves, their inner knowing about what will serve, what will contribute to my needs, to your needs, to the group. And that's an intrinsic relationship. I know inside myself I can only know inside myself what that is. I am empowered to know that internally. Whereas praise and compliments tell a much different story. They set up a much different system about praising somebody, which is giving them positive reinforcement from the outside as a means to facilitate and manipulate them to keep doing it. They then learn to become dependent on the feedback of others for knowing what is the right thing to do. And this sets up a very dangerous system where we lose connection with our own inner knowing with our own selves. And we become easily coercible by authorities, people we put in authority roles. The president, the police officer, the teacher, the parent, whoever it is. We then operate in a system where we are induced to do things by others. I'm very worried about this system because I think it contributes tremendously to the violence on the planet and makes it much more difficult for us to get our needs met. So what we're offering in this workshop, in the whole body of compassionate communication, is a movement from dependence on external sources to tell us what is right, what is true, and an evolution so that I can start knowing that more and more inside myself, and I can operate from my own center and do things joyfully, willingly, because I'm connected to how that serves life, not how that meets the expectations of others. So it's an intrinsic relationship to my needs rather than an extrinsic one. Okay? So, with all that said, that's easier said than done, because we have been educated to live the external extrinsic game. So we're going to do a little practice here. Janine's going to lead us in a moment about how we might start to develop that inner knowing, that inner resourcefulness, so that we can more easily tap into that, especially, let's say, in trying moments, where the stakes are high, where there's a lot of energy and we're triggered and we're anxious. And how can we come back to that center? How can we draw on that? And that's what we're going to practice now. Okay?